The perfect outdoor lighting system, everybody's got a different opinion. We've all got some unique ways. It can include, of course, landscape lighting, architectural lighting, but most importantly, garden light products. We've talked about that several times today. It's a very, very solid product. Our company motto, we light the way you live. The background check, getting to know your customer, getting to really find out how they live. If I do that in the truck on the way there, I'll be at the stoplight and I'll jump on the laptop and kind of find out a little bit about them, political affiliations, contributions to different organizations, where they've worked, find their bio, their LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. And it's super helpful, it really is, to kind of understand who your customer is and what they're looking for. A lot of people ask me, ask you guys, I'm sure, all the time, especially distributors that are trying to get us to use their product instead of Garden Light. How in the world can you offer a 20-year warranty on a product like that? Most of you already know, for some of the newer people here or people that are planning on going with Garden Light, it's very important to start out with the XP2 transformer system. You guys, if you're not aware of it, it has a surge protection system on the primary side or the line voltage side of the transformer, as well as one that you install on the secondary side of the transformer. Each of the luminaires or spotlights, well lights, whatever, they all have their driver on them that also have another level of added protection to prevent the lights from being damaged from electrical surges and such. Using the proper wire, the low corrosion, no corrosion, tin copper wire is also very important, of course. And I am an absolute believer of the gas-tight drum connectors. I heard people throw around the terms wire nuts or grease-filled wire nuts. When I go to a customer, I don't know how insanely important it truly is. I believe it is. I explain to them that I take this tube that doesn't have the grease in it and put the wires in there and then twist the stranded wire together and crimp it with the copper crimp. You guys mostly probably use the drums, I'm assuming. Then the grease is inserted. And they say, why is that so important? And I explain to them in layman's terms that, with a stranded wire, by putting a grease-filled wire nut on there, a lot of times the grease gets in between the strands and creates, resistance and problems down the road, and show them the burn-up wire and burn-up wire nuts and things like that, that those products are typically sold with those type of illustrations. Not to scare them too much or give them too much technical stuff, but my big thing about the Visionary Spotlight, and I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this aspect, but this is what I tell every customer with all of the V Spotlights. I hand them the spotlight and let them see how heavy it is. And I usually have it assembled on the mounting stake, because I'll hand it to them with my hand on the end of the light to where they grab it by the end of the stake. Make sure you have the screws in there too so it doesn't fall off and hit their toe. But when they grab the plastic end of that light, and you got a 1.5 pound or a 4-pound light on the other end of it, that's tough, man, it's hard. And they feel how heavy that is. But my big thing is, after I move past the fact that there's a lens that's flush with the front of the bezel that can't pull water, like older style lights and like even the old F7150s, 777s, things like that. There's not water pooling on there. Obviously we don't have to worry about the LEDs boiling sediment on it like I did with the halogen lights, but it's a neat point to make. Then I move down to the knuckle of the light, and this is where Garden Light's light is so unique, and this is one of my big things, and I've talked about it at trade shows and to other people. There's no teeth or serrations at that knuckle. Every other light has teeth or serrations to lock that knuckle in place so that the angle you choose that light to shine at is there and locked in place. But as we all know, a palm frond falls on it, the landscaper comes and hits it with a ladder, whatever, it breaks at the knuckle. The light's no longer any good. And that's great, you get to sell another light on down the road, but I'd rather have a good sale. I point out that smooth knuckle, if a palm frond falls and hits it, the light just knocks over. And I show that in the demonstration. I tell them you can stand it back up, you can call me to stand it back up, you can put an Allen key on there and tighten it back down, but your light's not broken. And then I point out on the ground stake. The old-fashioned kind of ground stakes, we all know those break away real easy. The newer stuff, our mounting system that we use now is very, very durable. We've never had one of those break. I don't know if anybody else has. And that's kind of I point out when I talk to a customer about our low physical failure rate on the light. Obviously there's some problems with drivers or diode boards from time to time in the field. We all have seen that. But with that kind of stake, it really cuts that down. You're not going to have those physical breaks on the lights. Since we started installing the Visionary Series lights, I think I've had 2 complete fixture failures. Southwest Florida, West Florida, we have these, the aluminum structures that are screen enclosures that enclose the cage. If you're not putting the deck lights on the cross section of the beams there of the pool, that's a huge, huge idea. It's great. People love it. It's a very soft, subtle, ambient lighting around the perimeter, the inside of the cage. That cross beam's typically at 35 or 36 inches height. We actually, before we install that fixture, we cut the thin wire leads off of them I just found out at the factory yesterday that they use a new type of wire on those that has a much more durable insulation. If you guys have installed those lights in metal applications, you know that sometimes the wire would get scraped and the insulation would come off. It would create a direct short, shut the system off. That wire's a lot more durable now, radio tells me. It's good stuff. What I do though, because I just like it to look a little more durable and be a little more rigid coming out of the cage, you drop the wire down to the bottom of the beam and then we drill a hole in the outside of the beam. I use a 7/8 step bit that goes in your cordless drill. Drill that 7/8 hole, and of course that accompanies or accommodate a 1/2 inch conduit pipe just perfectly, nice and snug. Then we use a 1/2 inch access elbow to carry that wire down over the lip of the pool deck outside of the pool cage, so that one, the wire is not exposed, number two, it's not vulnerable to cuts. To facilitate that and to drop that wire down easier in the beam, we cut that thin wire off of the fixture about 6 or 8 inches beneath the fixture. Use 16 gauge wire, but connect that to the thinner wire and then shrink wrap it so that it's nice and solid secure and it doesn't get moisture in it. And it makes a real neat clean installation. Mini Saturns and the large Saturns, S1s, S2s, the possibilities are endless yet limited. There's a lot of areas where you have a house where they have dormer windows up on the second floor or a small roof line, a hip or something over a garage. And